Hi everyone, this is Serene speaking from Co-Vision and Advocate Me. I'm obviously wishing everyone has had a beautiful Christmas period with their loved ones and wishing everyone and praying for a wonderful new year and so many activities that we're doing together through Co-Vision. So I'm very, very excited about that. The health hubs and so many other social enterprises. So keep a lookout for all of the things we're doing, and we're really hoping that you would join us. The reason why I'm making this video today is because in the new year, I most certainly intend on continuing with my very strong actions for the Children's Commission, which is really to bring to account what I'm seeing now is an escalation and an acceleration towards attacking vulnerable protective parents, particularly women and their children. Last week, to my horror, there was a beautiful young woman, 28 years of age, with her beautiful young boy, her son, who's 6 or 7. I will not name them, obviously, for obvious reasons. But on Wednesday, after returning from her doctor and the previous night taking her little boy to hospital, she received a huge knock on the door with 6 Australian federal police officers at the door demanding to take her child, which really is a demand to abduct her child, because they say that a judge in this country, a magistrate, and her name is Magistrate Megan O'Meara, she decided to issue a recovery order against this poor young woman and her child, and to return this child, or to abduct this child more accurately, to the father. Now, this young lady has been in the process of escaping the abuse of this man that she alleges he abused her. But these allegations are actually supported by previously and historically 2 police-led intervention orders, which were characterized by serious violence against the mother. Okay, so she has been with him since she was 17, 18, with a man 22 years her senior, and trying to escape him. And now she has the child in her care, in her protective care. He has been circling. And what happens in this country is that perpetrators, and I'm not afraid to call people perpetrators when they are perpetrators, because apparently we're not supposed to be involved. Don't get involved because these men will target you. Well, I have been seriously targeted by a lot of men, violent men, where I stood up for their children and the women that they terrorise, the mothers of the children they terrorise. And I'm not afraid to call that out. Now, with 2 police-led intervention orders historically against him, and a current outstanding child protection investigation that was waged by the mother reporting the disclosures of the child to seeing violence from the father. Okay, he's witnessed violence from the father. Now, that's the child's own disclosures. And in this country, children are not believed. Protective parents are not believed. But who's believed are the perpetrators. They're the ones that are believed. Because Magistrate Megan O'Meara, without any parenting orders, without any historical research into this case, without providing the mother procedural fairness and natural justice, she didn't even send her a correspondence to come and plead her case. This magistrate took her voice, took the voice of the child, suppressed all the usual protocols for process, acted without previous court orders, and terrorised this mother by sending her 6 Australian federal police officers. Now, just in case you missed it, our country is being run by drug trafficking and human trafficking rings. And it is so easy to access those rings that even 60 Minutes did an expose through Nick McKenzie a few weeks ago about cartels. Chinese men, cartels, criminals that were sent from China down here, that's right. Criminals running drug trafficking and human trafficking rings. And yet Magistrate Megan O'Meara feels it's justified for her not to do a checkup on the child protection cases or history of this man. And she felt justified just before Christmas to terrorise this mother. Complete terrorism, let's call it for what it is. And send her 6 Australian Federal Police officers strapped with guns, 4 vehicles, to this young 28-year-old mother and her little boy. That's how the Australian Federal Police works in this country. And that's how the judges work in this country. Now, this doesn't get your blood boiling. I don't know what does. This mother opened the door to 6 Australian Federal Police officers with guns, saying that she needs to let them in. She let them in, and the little boy was sleeping in the lounge. She woke him up and said that these mostly men, 5 men and 1 woman, who are all wearing guns, were sent to him, this little 6-year-old boy, because how dangerous his mother is. And this boy started to cry, and the mother was crying, and she's looking at the police officers saying, surely officers, you can see what's happening here. There's not even a parenting order. How could that happen? And you know what they said to her? Oh yeah, you guessed it. They're just following orders. That's right. They're just following orders. So, the young boy starts to cry. The mother's crying. She's begging them. She's saying to them, can I at least give him his Christmas presents? And at that kind of interchange, one of the cops, he stormed out, shut the door, flung the door open. This is all extending the time. He doesn't have time for emotionality. They're here to deal with her. Because apparently, she's such a thug that she rates right up there with the AFP officers and 6 officers with guns being sent to her. Even though I could call up the AFP right now and tell them about 100 men that they could catch. Yeah, easy. The drones. You could pick up all of the drugs. All of the meth labs. If you didn't know where they are, I could help you. I could help you locate them. Okay? I could help you locate them. But no, these Australian Federal Police officers would rather terrorise this mother and this Megan O'Meara. This thug that has to be called for what she is, a terrorist, terrorising and causing the trauma to this young woman and my young mother and her little boy. And do you not understand what you've just created? Do you not understand the trauma that you are inflicting on this young mother and her little boy? And this is where the mother had to carry her little boy, because they said that they will get violent with her if she doesn't comply and if she doesn't make it easier. Don't you just think that that's disgusting? Here we are. We are the terrorists and we are the violators of rights. And now we're going to tell you how you need to respond to us. Because if you respond like a human being crying for your son, you're going to make it worse. Not that they are making it worse by being there, but then it becomes her fault, her reactions. Oh, God. Oh, yes. Very little work has been achieved by the feminists in the last 50 years. Clearly, niente, zero. You know, still witch. Burning the witches. We're still at that stage, people. We're still at that stage. In any case, her little boy turns around to her in the car and he says, Mummy, can I give you a last hug? That's right, because he thought he was going to be taken away forever. And that's what they've done. Anyway, between that, I came over and this mother rose from the ashes, and said to me, I am going to make a stand to all the mothers and the children in this country. Magistrate Megan O'Meara needs to be sued. I'm not going to go to the family court. I'm going to take that judge to court. I'm going to take the police officers to the court. And we wrote to Magistrate Megan O'Meara expressing our shame in her, our disgust. How dare she? How dare she take away all of the traditions of the laws in this country that provide for basic protections, for a basic voice. She took away this mother's voice and this child's voice and preferentialed the father's voice instead, even though there is a lot on the record that supports the mother's case. And I called Agent Callum Bush, who was the lead Australian Federal Police officer, and he sounded like a nice guy, but I'm afraid nice guys don't cut it when you're just following orders, Callum, Agent Callum. That also makes you a terrorist. That makes you a terrorist. Having nice thoughts does not remove the fact that you came in with guns to a little boy. You came in with guns before Christmas to terrorise a little boy and his mother. That's what you did, Agent Callum Bush from the Australian Federal Police. Apparently, policing for a safer future. That's their, logo. In any case, we pushed and pushed. And we even pushed child protection. And it's very hard to move child protection to action. But we pushed and we expressed to child protection that we will be taking the magistrate to court. That if anything happens to this child, it'll be on their neck. And they acted. That's right. The mother rose and they acted. And they have now, since Thursday night, things were reversed. And the little boy is now back with his mother. And she was crying with me. We were crying together, holding each other and saying, it's okay. The fight is not over, because we know exactly what happens now. Family Court of Australia gets involved. And we continue with the terrorism of Magistrate Megan O'Meara, don't we? We continue with their terrorism. Well, we're watching this case closely, and we are most certainly watching very, very closely the child protection and what they're going to do. And we need to support this mother. We need to support all the mothers and all the fathers, of course. I recognize that, but the most extreme cases often targeted towards loving mothers by very, very nefarious perpetrators. And little children. How many children have to die? Do you understand how many children have died in this country because of what has happened with the family court and the magistrates and policing? They are spending their time terrorising protective parents and children. And for this reason, I will be continuing with spearheading the Children's Commission in the coming new year. And I hope that you will continue with your support towards us, because I will not quit. My license was taken away from me by pervert judges of the highest order. Pervert, sick, disturbed judges of the highest order. And I see this, and I see you, Magistrate Megan O'Meara. You should be ashamed of yourself. Shame. Shame on you. And you will be held to account, just like all the Australian Federal Police officers that think it's acceptable to use their power against vulnerable and innocent women and children. Just like the case of Laura and Grace in Northern Territory. Just like the case of Anne Greer and her grandson. Just like the case of numerous women and children and grandmothers and their grandchildren. This is our shame. And we will need to stand up for those who've got no voice against these creeps and terrorists that call themselves Australian judges.